Hey, so I've been, I didn't really exactly know what I was doing until it's kind of come together because I had this impulse to listen to Angelo's Fetter videos, Fetter, with Kevin Chanelek. Um, and I realized as I'm listening, like, oh, this is the eighth and ninth fetters. Um, at least that's what it seems like. So, um, the eighth is the dropping of the self structure completely, just like not there anymore. And the ninth is this kind of restlessness that feels like, dissatisfaction and fear. Actually, I haven't watched that video yet, so um, kind of my interpretation could be different than other people's interpretation. But anyway, um, yeah. So this morning was my husband's birthday. He's the one who usually takes the kids to school, and I woke up and noticed that he'd slept in. Um, Now, a year ago, this would have triggered, me into a tailspin of irrational panic and pointless blame, like this feeling like I can't count on anything, I have to do everything myself. Um, like God help the people who have to deal with, you know, human stuff. But anyway, what did I do this morning? I got up, made the kids breakfast, washed their hands, got them dressed. By that time, my husband was up, and I wished him happy birthday and asked if he wanted me to take the kids to school. And he said, no, he'll take them. And that was that. And once he was gone, I sat down like I hadn't even really thought about myself at all. I just assessed the situation and did what called to be done. And it was like I didn't even exist. Um, and, ordinarily that can be so triggering because I felt like I didn't exist as a kid. My needs and wants didn't matter. But of course, this is different. Nobody was neglecting me. I was just being part of the family, playing my completely proper role as a grown up, a partner, a parent. Um, what a concept, right? And I felt okay, a little breathless, like, whoa, I didn't really exist there for a while. I was just in the doing of the human thing. Uh, which, I laugh at myself because so often I'm amazed when I'm simply a reasonably functional adult. Um, I feel like I should call this channel Enlightenment for Dummies or maybe Enlightenment for One Dummy. Um, except I might not be alone in this this dilemma or this difficulty. So I don't want anybody else to think they're a dummy. But yeah, I don't know. I'm probably just trying to demonstrate self-awareness to preserve my non-existent self slash ego, whatever. But anyway, um, the point is, I wasn't suffering. I wasn't anything. Um, maybe that's equanimity, right? Because so often, like, I'll be in the shower and look at a shampoo bottle or a wet tile and get this sort of panicky feeling like, is this all there is? Really just this? Is this okay? It's like I'm trying to figure out what role I play. Like, um, even if I just see a beautiful sunset, sometimes I can feel almost like a panic. Like something in me wants is like, how do I relate to this? What does it say about me, the way that I'm relating to this? Am I appreciating this beauty enough? Am I doing it right? Like, um, because you know I'm still in the process, but until recently I didn't know how to not be. I didn't know how to just appreciate something as, I don't want to say emptiness. Empty fullness, I don't know, but or just as it as itself, as everythingness. I don't know, sorry. Um Point is, I'm always looking like, what's my role? What am I supposed to be doing right now? Right? And it's exhausting because there's no such thing as a proper role. And part of me knows that. But I spent so much of my life seeking, like, who am I? I don't want to be an idiot. I want to be special. I want to be good. I can't just be. Like, that's clearly not enough. I mean, that's what, what the message we're given from very young age. So just being feels wrong. You got to figure out who to be, how to be, what to be. And there's a big part of my, or there was. I mean, it's kind of it's taken some critical hits, but um, a big part of my internal structure was still grasping for that. That what's my role? But there's no my. Um, and just now, it was such a relief. I was lying with my daughter. I just sometimes I'll sing her a song and then lay down with her for a while as she goes to sleep. Um, and I was doing that tonight without any sense of should or shouldn't, like, which of course is pointless. You're there or you're not, right? But there used to be this restless feeling like, how long should I stay? Or so many things I need to do, or, just like some kind of restlessness and dissatisfaction. It was just gone tonight. There was no sense of should or shouldn't. And kind of joking with myself, I thought, should there be a should or shouldn't? But I was just joking. Um, and yeah, it was such a relief. And then I went and I was going to walk down here, and then Mateo, my cat, made a little trilling sound, and I just went and petted Mateo, and it wasn't like there wasn't any reflection. There wasn't any. It was just, I'm petting the cat. That's it. I'm petting the fucking cat. There's nothing else. So quiet and so nice. And it comes and goes, but it's new, and yeah, yeah, it's exciting. Uh, Meanwhile, for a while, and I'm kind of smashing videos together because I keep sort of putting it off until I have a bunch of stuff to talk about. But um, for a long while now, I've been in the place of like gut clench, no to life and no to death. Like, and no to life means no to this present moment because it's too scary, too bizarre, too unknown, not good enough, right? No to death also means no to this present moment because it's not important. And if you sit here in the present without constantly focusing on the future, you have no idea what might happen and you might die, right? So in both cases, it's no to the present moment, just with kind of a different spin on it, right? But either way, like, get it, like, this present moment, no, bad. Um, and a friend on the inquiry group, he said, "Buckle your seatbelt. The clench in the gut and survival instinct was the most intense unconsciousness I had to work through. Um, Good luck in this territory." And I wrote back, "It is quite an insistent teacher, huh? It kindly declines to let you off the hook until you're ready to let yourself off the hook. It demands everything, everything. No bullshit allowed anymore." And it's like, that's why I can feel like I'm being prodded. Like, there's there's no distraction that is gonna take this away for any length of time. It's just there, right? And it's like it doesn't give you a lot of leeway. Like, either I'm really, really with it 100% as it, like, no resistance, or it's yeah, it just sits there. And when I can really truly feel into it, what it feels like is giving everything over to it, because it permeates my whole body, and I there's no pretense of anything I'm doing other than uh not resisting. That's it. That's the only thing I can it's the only contribution I can make. Um yeah, I wrote now I'm done. I'm cornered. There's no illusion of anything to chase, anything anywhere else at all. No escape mechanism. Pain, fear, death, whatever the universe might have in store for me, I cannot escape it. I can't pretend my way out. And pretending, it looks like, well, I have no reason to clench. Well, I shouldn't be mad. I have no reason to be sad. I don't need to be afraid. I've already processed that. I should be done with that. None of that matters. If there's anger, there's anger. If there's sadness, there's sadness. If some old wound wants to be processed again, okay, process it again. Like, it's another layer. Uh, it is what it is. You can't argue with it. It's there, right? But, luckily, in a way, there's no pressure. I mean, other than the suffering or the pain of the prodding, basically. But there's no hurry. There's no prize. I still subconsciously try to measure myself, like, where am I in this scale? How good of a spiritual person am I? Am I more evolved than this group, or whatever? It's like, it's totally meaningless. Like, on absolute scales, there's no measure, there's no measuring up. Um, there's not even someone to be enlightened or unenlightened. There's nothing to. It's just happening. There's just this, whatever it is, perfectly here. And even like perfect and imperfect, like worthy and unworthy, they don't mean anything. It's just this. And, most times when I get back to that just this, fear comes. And then that fear is just this, just what is. And that's okay too. I can accept that fear. I can relax into that fear. I can allow that fear. And then more comes. What about this? What about that? What about this? It's like this sort of like, shh. It's like, what about it? You can think those thoughts. You can feel those feelings. And lately, I'm definitely noticing emotions on a more subtle level. Like, as kind of a funny example, I'll suddenly realize I have a fear about how I might feel later. Like, I mean, I just have to laugh, because it's like that little fear of what I might feel later. It's fine, it's here, but and it passes when it passes. But it's so clear that it's not up to either of us how I might feel later, or even what's going to happen later. So yeah, and then in the shower last night, it felt like someone was fiddling with my emotional radio station, like turning it quickly between sadness, fear, dread, joy, fear, frustration, amusement, fear, and I was just like, I couldn't do anything but experience the show, you know. And maybe there was some fear about how helpless that felt, that I really can't control anything, and that was there too. And all I can do, and it's not even clear that I'm doing it, is resist or not resist. And I mean, it's in a way, it's kind of obvious that that's just how it is. And it feels like coming out of denial. And it also feels so incredibly unfamiliar and deeply vulnerable, like vulnerable in every atom of my body. No pretense of control. Uh, and yeah, when the eighth fetter drops and there's no self, there's just happening. It's funny when that dropped. I think it's dropped temporarily and kind of I didn't notice it before, right? But now I'm noticing it. It's like I can be consciously, I don't want to say consciously unconscious, but consciously unselfed, I guess. Um, and when that first happened, yeah, at the same time, it's such a shock, and it's also obvious that that self thing, that illusion of being able to withdraw into some imaginary shell. And I can still kind of bring it back online. I can still kind of play with the shell, right? I can still, but it's like it's as serious to me as reading a good novel or something, That's uh, I mean, yeah, it's Inside Out. I mean, like not like the movie. I mean, like literally, you just kind of turned inside out. You used to be like this, and now it's like I don't know. I can't really. That's not really going to get it across, probably, unless you've already been through it. But it's like you used to be in a room called your body, and now if you're not anything, there's just shit happening. Hmm. But meanwhile, some joy and kind of feelings of love are starting to sneak in too, often followed closely by more fear because joy and love didn't feel safe as a kid. Because joyful noise and movement were not tolerated long or often. And loving my parents was quite painful because, bless their hearts, they didn't really know how to love. They didn't know how to make me feel loved, or anyway, whatever. Um, you can litigate that later. But sort of allowing that fear. The joy comes and then the fear. It's like, okay, now it's fear. It's okay. It's like letting steam out of the system, making a bit more room by degrees for natural joy and love to emerge, hopefully. But I feel like I'm in a really good place, even if it is, the eye of a storm. A storm's not a bad place to be. An eye is not the bad place to be. A stretch of fair weather is not a bad place to be. It's all okay. I mean, what can I say? It's happening moment by moment, and it's colorful and it's interesting, and I can be a little bit reactive because it's so new and so vulnerable. It's like you're, and I still have the gut clench going on. That's never fun. I guess I need to spend more time with that. Um, I did. I spent quite a bit of time with it today when I would maybe have chosen if I was a self with, I don't know, my own ideas about what to do. Um, I would have rather worked on my book, but that didn't feel alive. It didn't feel. I sat down to do it, and it was just like no. And I do wonder to what extent, like, how do I tell the difference between aversion as which is like a an egoic thing versus like intuiting or discerning that something is not in flow, something is not. Uh, I guess you learn by because you see what happens, and that's what happens, and that's it. Uh, so that's what happened today. But yeah, another thing that happened today is I saw a hawk swoop into our yard and eat. It was either a worm or a small snake. I couldn't see which. We have small snakes here, but it just made me think like without a constant drumbeat of fear, snakes and worms will get snatched. I mean, there's predators everywhere, right? But without some courage, without some impetus to get out of the ground, to move to new ground, whatever they do, um, they never move, they never change, and they got to feed themselves too. I mean, well, I don't know much about worm biology, but anyway, um, be that as it may, there does seem to be in human and animal life a duality of courage and fear, right? And it seems like humans are the first animals, living things that I know of that can get beyond that duality. They can move without courage and without fear, but simply in flow, accepting whatever comes. And I had a dream the other night where I was in some kind of big boat, and you know, it was doing something kind of dangerous on the water, and then it was about to crash into the shore. And then instead of crashing into the shore, it kept going as if the road was water. It was like it was just careening through highways and stuff. This boat, um, and I realized within the dream, I'm like, oh, this is a simulation or something. This isn't real. This isn't a problem. This is wild. This is fun. And yeah, it was nonsensical and out of my control, and I could just enjoy the ride. And I see. Well, I'll get into this in a future video. Um, but yeah, it's the world is totally wild right now. I mean, if there wasn't so much suffering, it would be, one hell of a show. That's for sure. Um, but uh, but yeah, that's between the yeah, it remains the one thing it still bothers me. There's still distresses me is the fact that so many people still suffer. But I'll make a video more about that later. But yeah, for now, for me personally, with sort of, I think that that restlessness, that fear, that gut clinch is kind of the ninth fetter, maybe. Um, but the eighth fetter dropping, I don't know, there's a little like, I kind of want to give myself a cookie for that, that, but which is so ironic because it's like, congratulations, you're not a person. Here's an award for, it's like who you're rewarding. But still, it's kind of exciting, kind of fun. And I'll check y'all later.